Jnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chaksurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatcha Deshatarine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we're going through the Madhya Lila of Lord Chaitanya's pastimes, and we were hearing how Lord Chaitanya was dancing at the Rath Yatra festival of Lord Jagannath.
我们在聆听的呢是 Caitanya Caritamrta Madhya Lila 中篇逍遥的是 Caitanya Mahaprabhu 的小时光。那我们刚刚听到的这一部分，我们之前听到的这部分内容呢，就是是 Caitanya Mahaprabhu 如何在Rath Yatra 弹车前翩翩起舞。
And we were hearing how the deities of Lord Jagannath and Lord Balaram would sometimes arrange to stop their cars so that they could watch Lord Chaitanya dancing.
我们还听到了有的时候呢，主 Jagannath、主 Balaram 他们会让他们所坐的这个车子停下来，然后这样他们就能够更好的驻足观看Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 跳舞。
At one point, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was dancing and wandering around in front of the chariot of Lord Jagannath when he fell down, and it happened that he fell down in front of Maharaj Prataparudra.
那有一次呢，当时 Caitanya Mahaprabhu 他在这个主 Jagannath 的这个弹车前游荡着翩翩起舞的时候呢，他一下就摔倒了，他刚好就摔倒在了Prataparudra 王的面前。
So the king, seeing Lord Chaitanya falling down on the ground, he immediately bent down and helped to pick him up with great respect.
所以说呢，当国王看到主这样摔倒下来的时候呢，他立刻就满怀着敬意，弯下身子要接住主，让他别摔着。
But when Lord Chaitanya saw the king, he was not so happy.
但是Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 看到国王的时候呢，他不是特开心。
And Lord Chaitanya condemned himself. He was saying, "Oh, it's such a shame. I have touched a person who is interested in mundane affairs."
然后Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 呢就在斥责自己，他说：“哎呀，我实在是太不幸了，我怎么就碰到了一位总是在从事着世俗事务的人呢？”
So at that time, other devotees like Lord Nityananda and Govinda, his servant, they were not so near and they were not able to take care of Lord Chaitanya.
就在这会儿呢，因为像主Nityananda Prabhu还有Govinda Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 的仆人，他们都没有在Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 的近旁，所以呢，他们就没有办法照顾Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu。
Now Lord Chaitanya was already pleased to see the behavior of the king, because he saw the king sweep for the Lord Jagannath.
但实际上这会儿呢，Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 他已经对于这个国王他的这些行为举止感到挺开心的了，因为他看到国王在扫这个地，为主 Jagannath 扫地。
So for a king to take a brush and to start to sweep the road as a service for the deity, it shows a lot of humility.
因为作为一个国王，能够拿起笤帚为神像扫地，这已经展示出了他是非常的谦卑的。
Lord Caitanya could understand the king was really a good devotee, and he actually desired to see the king.
所以说呢，主Caitanya Mahaprabhu他其实能明白这位国王是一位非常伟大的奉献者，而且呢，他其实很有愿望想要见这位国王。
But Lord Caitanya has to show an example to all the other devotees, and he doesn't want to show too much affection for a king.
但是呢，主Caitanya Mahaprabhu呢，他就必须要为其他的奉献者树立一个榜样，然后呢，要让大家看到他其实对国王是没有那么多的情感的。
He wanted to warn all of his followers.
他想要警告他所有的追随者们。
So when Lord Caitanya, when he externally showed his anger, it was to teach his followers.
所以呢，Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu在外在显示他的愤怒，是为了教导他的追随者们。
But actually, in actual fact, Lord Caitanya had great respect for the king, and he didn't have any anger towards him.
但事实上呢，主Chaitanya Mahaprabhu对国王是十分的尊重的，他其实并没有对他生气。
But it's very dangerous for a person to have intimate relationships with non-devotees.
但是呢，和非奉献者有很亲密的联谊，这是很危险的。
So anybody who really wants to go back to Godhead, they have to be very careful who they associate with.
所以呢，任何一个想要回归守神的人，他都要非常的小心他联谊的对象。
So the king, Lord Caitanya was actually satisfied with the humble behavior of the king.
所以说呢，Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu呢，他其实是非常的满意于国王他所展现出来的谦卑的姿态的。
And when he fell down, at that time Lord Caitanya, actually, he allowed the king to touch him.
所以说呢，当Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu摔倒在地的时候，他其实允许了国王碰他。
But he wanted to warn his associates, and so he showed a little anger towards the king.
但是呢，他又想要警告他的追随者，他的同友们，所以说呢，他又展现出他对国王的愤怒。
So when Lord Caitanya showed a little anger, then the king became frightened.
所以当主Chaitanya Mahaprabhu他显现有点生气的时候呢，这国王就变得很害怕。
But the Bhattacharya was there beside the king, and he told the king, "Don't worry, he's actually happy with you, but he just wants to teach his devotees how to behave."
但是呢，Bhattacharya刚好就站在国王的面前，所以呢，他就安慰国王说呢：“你别害怕，别担心。其实呢，主对你是很满意的，但是呢，他要以这样的方式来教导他的追随者们应该如何恰当的行事。”
When you use the word, does that mean God or does that mean Lord or what?
Lord.
It can mean Lord, is it? Okay.
Then, yeah. It only means a master. Yeah, actually, it's more like a master.
Oh, okay. That's all right. Yeah. So it's different from God, right?
Yeah. God is like Shen.
But it's the same word, is it?
Well, in a different context, they are using different ways, and for people who know the context, they also get a different understanding of it.
Okay.
Sometimes they realize it's a master as a Lord, and sometimes they think that is a God. But this is really based on the context.
Okay, so sometimes devotees, it appears like they're interested in money, but they're actually often humble and surrendered to Krishna.
那有的时候呢，人们他们显现出来好像他是对钱很感兴趣，但其实呢，他是非常的谦卑的，而且呢，他是臣服于 Krishna 的。
So we have to be very careful when we judge people.
所以说呢，当我们在评判一个人的时候，我们要非常的小心。
The general principle is that no devotee should intimately mix with non-devotees who are interested in money.
但是呢，就是这个总体的原则，就是任何一个奉献者，他都不应该去和对钱非常感兴趣的非奉献者联谊，有紧密的联谊。
Of course, we have to associate with people, but don't associate intimately. That's the point.
但是呢，我们也必须得去跟别人交往。可是呢，我们在和别人交往的时候呢，就不要特别的亲密。
So the Bhattacharya said to the king, he said, I'm going to tell the king, as soon as I get a chance, I'm going to tell the king, and we'll make arrangements for you to come and meet him.
Tell the king.
Tell him. I'm going to inform him that you're he'll tell the king. Bhattacharya speaking to the king. He said, just be patient. He said, when I get time, then I will meet with Lord Caitanya, and we will arrange for you to come and meet with him.
然后呢 ，Bhattacharya 就对国王说呢，就安慰他说：“你别担心，别着急，我呢只要一有机会，我就会见主Caitanya，然后呢，我会请他来见你的，与你相见的。”
So Lord Caitanya, after the king picked him up, then Lord Caitanya circumambulated the chariot of Lord Jagannath.
那然后呢，主Caitanya Mahaprabhu他就绕拜了 Jagannath 的坛车。
And then he began to push the chariot, but he began to push it with his head.
然后呢，他就开始推 Jagannath 所做的这个坛车，他是用他的头去推的。
And as soon as he pushed the car, it immediately began to move, and it made a rattling noise.
而且呢，就是当他这么一推的时候呢，这车立刻就开始动了，而且呢，开始发出了这个推动的声音。
And all the people began to chant, Hari, Hari.
所有的人看这车动了以后呢，就立刻大声的呼唤起来 ，Hari Hari。
So Lord Caitanya brought his devotees in front of the chariot, in front of the chariot of Lord Balaram and Subhadra Maharani.
然后呢，Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 又把他所有的这些奉献者们又给带到了主 Balaram 和Subhadra Maharani 的坛车前。
And then Lord Chaitanya began to dance in front of them.
然后主 Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 呢又开始在他们面前跳舞。
And then, after Lord Chaitanya finished dancing in front of Lord Balaram and Subhadra Maharani, then Lord Chaitanya came back to Lord Jagannath's car.
然后，当Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 在主 Balaram 和 Subhadra Maharani 的坛车前跳完舞之后呢，他又回到了主 Jagannath 的坛车前面。
And then he began to dance again.
然后呢，他又开始跳起来。
And then they came to this place where they came to a place. The name is Balagandhi, and at that place, many devotees came with offerings for the deities.
然后呢，他们就来到了一个叫巴拉甘迪的地方。那么在这个地方呢，就很多奉献者都走上前来，向神像献上他们的贡品。
It was a neighborhood of many brahmanas.
那地方呢，就是那个地区呢，是有很多的婆罗门。
And there were many coconut trees there.
而且那儿呢，也有很多的椰子树。
And there was a nice flower garden.
有很美的开满了鲜花的花园。
And the garden was just like those in Vrindavan.
这些花园就像在文达文的花园是一样的。
So Lord Chaitanya and all the devotees were dancing in front of Lord Jagannath, and the car stopped And Lord Jagannath was watching the dancing.
当主 Caitanya Mahaprabhu 和所有的这些奉献者们在主 Jagannath 的面前跳舞的时候呢，主 Jagannath 又把他的车停了下来，然后呢来观赏着所有的这些奉献者们跳舞。
So every year when they would come to this place, all the Brahmanas' wives would come out and they would bring offerings for the deities.
就每年弹车节的时候，当弹车到这儿的时候呢，所有的这些婆罗门们的妻子们全部都会带着他们各自的献给神像的贡品来到这里。
And Lord Jagannath would taste all of the different offerings they brought.
而主 Jagannath 呢，他就会品尝他们所带来的所有的贡品。
And there were all kinds of devotees. Some of the devotees were neophyte and some were more advanced. But they all offered their best food to Lord Jagannath.
他们是各种各样的奉献者，有些奉献者呢是非常的高级的，还有一些奉献者呢是一些新的奉献者，但是他们全都竭尽全力的把他们准备的最好的这个贡品献给了主 Jagannath。
And then there were the devotees like the king with his queens.
然后还有一些奉献者，比如说像是国王啊，带着他们的妻子、皇后。
And then he had all his ministers and his friends.
还有就是大臣们以及他们的朋友们。
And all kinds of different people who were resident in Jagannath Puri. Some were big, important people, and some were not very important people.
所以呢，这些全部都是居住在 Jagannath Puri 的居民们，有些呢是非常地位显赫的人们，还有一些呢，就是平常的老百姓。
So there were many visitors who had come to attend the Rath Yatra. They'd come from different places far away, from like foreign areas.
还有呢，就是从很远的地方前到这里来的一些其他的那些地方的人们，不在 Jagannath Puri 的人也前来参加这弹车节。
And they'd also prepared food and brought it to offer to Jagannath.
那他们呢，也都准备了很多的食物来献给主 Jagannath。
So they were offering the food everywhere. There was food in front of the car and behind it, and on the two sides, and even in the flower garden.
的地方，有的时候呢是把这个就是这个食物是放在车子的后面的。
And they were making the offerings everywhere.
那所以说呢，他们就在所有的地方都会准备这个供奉。
So then a big crowd began to gather.
那这样一来呢，就有很多人都聚集过来了。
So then Lord Caitanya stopped his dancing and he went into a nearby garden.
然后这样的话呢，就使得主 Caitanya Mahaprabhu 停止了他的舞蹈，然后他就去到了附近的一个花园里。
So when Lord Caitanya came in the garden, he lay flat down on the ground. He's very tired from dancing.
然后当他来到这个花园之后呢，他一下子就平躺在了花园的地上，因为他跳舞跳得很疲惫了。
His body was all covered in perspiration.
他浑身都就是他大汗淋漓，浑身都是汗。
So he was enjoying the cool breeze in the garden and the fragrance, the nice smell coming from the flowers there.
所以呢，他在花园里面就享受着花园里面的轻轻的微风，以及在花园里面弥漫着的芬芳四溢的花香。
So all the devotees who'd been doing kirtan, they all came there to take rest.
当时在进行 kirtan 的所有的奉献者们呢，全部都来到了花园里面，在这里休息。
So this is how we describe the pastimes of Lord Caitanya dancing in the Rath Yatra.
所以这就是我们所讲述的Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu在弹车节上翩翩起舞的逍遥。
It is said anybody who hears the description of the Rath Yatra festival will be able to go to Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu.
就有这样一个说法，说任何一个聆听到了Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu 在弹车节上起舞的这逍遥时光的人，都会去到Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu 那里。
And he will have firm faith in devotional service, and he will develop love of God.
而且呢，他还会有心坚意稳的对奉爱服务的信心，以及呢，他会回到守神的身边。
All right, so that's end of chapter 13. We're going to go on to chapter 14 to hear about the performance of the Vrindavan pastimes.
那所以呢，我们现在就结束了第13章的讲述。我们现在要聆听的是第14章的讲述。这第14章的题目呢，就是聆听稳达文的逍遥。
So we heard Lord Caitanya was tired after dancing in the Rath Yatra, and he went into the garden and lay down.
那我们就听到说呢，是Caitanya Mahaprabhu在弹车节上跳舞之后呢，就非常的疲惫，所以呢，他就到了旁边的一个花园里面躺下来休息。
So at that time, the king entered into the garden, and
就在这会儿呢
and the king had changed his dress. He'd taken off the dress of the king, and he'd put on ordinary dress of a devotee.
那么这会儿呢，这位国王他就来到了这个花园里。他这会儿呢，已经脱下了他国王的装扮，而穿上了普通的奉献，就是奉献者的普通的衣服。
Now, sometimes people criticize our devotees for changing the dress and not wearing the devotee dress.
那有的时候呢，奉献者就会受到这样的批评，说我们奉献者把我们的服装都给改变了，没有再穿奉献者应该穿的衣服。
And they say you're just trying to cheat people, you don't want them to know you're a devotee.
然后他们就说到呢，你们只是想骗别人，你们不想让大家知道你们是奉献者。
Especially, when we go in the public for book distribution, if we have shaved heads and wear clothes like dhoti and so on, then people may not talk to us, they may avoid us.
那就比如说，当我们在公共场合派书的时候，如果我们要是把头发剃得光光的，而且还穿着奉献者的衣服的话，那人们也许可能就不会理我们，他们就不会他们就会忽略我们。
So some devotees find it more convenient for book distribution to wear ordinary dress.
所以呢，有些奉献者就发现，在派书的时候，如果要是穿便服的话呢，就会更加的方便。
So Prabhupada gave his approval for this.
那么这一点呢，舍尔巴帕实际上是给予了许可的。
He said the main thing is, he said, don't dress in an untidy manner, but present yourself, be very smartly dressed, and look good, look proper, so that people will respect you.
舍尔巴帕说呢，就是不要把自己穿的是不干不净的那个样子，那呢，要把自己给打扮的还是很精明、很能干，而且呢，就是很整齐的样子，因为这样的话呢，人们就会尊重你。
So we see here in the pastimes of Lord Caitanya how the king also disguised himself.
那所以我们在这儿看到的呢，也是国王他把他自己给伪装了起来。
The Bhattacharya had told him, it will be easier for you to meet Lord Caitanya if you're not dressed as a king.
那Bhattacharya对国王说，如果你要是不装扮成国王的样子呢，那可能就更加的容易使主Caitanya Mahaprabhu见你。
So the king changed his dress and he came in to meet Lord Caitanya.
所以呢，国王就更换了他自己的服装，然后进来要拜见主Caitanya。
Now, of course, you get people like, Buddhist monks, they never change their dress. They will always wear the monk dress.
那比如说像佛教的僧人，那他们其实永远都是穿着他们的僧袍的，他们是不会换衣服的。
So sometimes when people when they see our devotees, sometimes they see us in devotee dress, and then another time they see us in karmi dress, ordinary clothes. So they become confused.
所以说呢，当人们有的时候看到我们穿着奉献者所穿的这个服饰，但有的时候呢又看着我们穿着普通人的这个衣服，那他就会觉得很困惑。
But actually they shouldn't be confused, that they should understand that we just do this. Sometimes we wear the ordinary dress just for preaching Krishna consciousness.
但实际上呢，他们是不应该表示困惑的，他们应该理解我 我们之所以有的时候会穿普通人的衣服的原因，就是为了在这样的装束下更容易的传播 Krishna 知觉。
Now, particularly in Western countries, we don't have any problem to wear the devotee dress.
特别是在西方国家，当我们穿奉献者的衣服的时候呢，其实是没有太多问题的。
But some devotees, they don't like to go out into the public in the devotee dress, and they hide themselves.
但是呢，有的奉献者他就不喜欢穿着奉献者的衣服去到公众场合，他们会把自己给藏起来。
And even if they have to go to the shop and go to the market, they will change their dress and put on ordinary clothes.
那即便是他们要去商店、要去市场买东西的话呢，他们也会把衣服换成普通的衣服。
But that's not really necessary. We can continue to wear the devotee dress.
但其实，在西方其实是不必要换衣服的，可以穿着奉献者的衣服去做这些事情。
And Srila Prabhupada said that if people just simply see the devotees dressed in the devotee dress with shaved heads and tilak on their foreheads and tulsi mala around their neck, then it's purifying for ordinary people to see the devotees like that.
施利拉帕法他说，就是看着奉献者的这一身装束，比如说头发是剃得光光的，然后前额上抹着这个提拉克，然后脖子上戴着图拉西的净珠，就是普通的人看到奉献者的这身装束，对于他们来说都是净化。施利拉帕法怎么讲的？
Yeah, as soon as whenever they see the devotees, then they will be reminded of Krishna.
因为当他们一见到奉献者，他们立刻就会被提醒 Krishna。
But when we change the dress and put on ordinary dress, then we don't remind people of Krishna.
但是呢，当我们穿上普通的衣服的时候，我们就没有这个提醒人们关于 Krishna 的这个功能了。
However, if our purpose of changing the dress, if our purpose in changing the dress is to facilitate our preaching and for our service to Krishna, then it's all right.
但是我们换衣服的目的是为了让我们能够更好的为 Krishna 做服务，为了更好的能够传播 Krishna 知觉的话，那是没有问题的。
So the king was very humble, and he came. He's coming in an ordinary dress, and he's very humble, and he comes before the devotees, and he takes permission from all of them, and then he came and touched the lotus feet of Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu.
所以说呢，这位国王他穿着便装，他非常的谦卑的来到所有的奉献者的面前，然后呢，从所有的奉献者这里得到了允许，然后他就允许他到主 Caitanya Mahaprabhu 的面前，向Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu 顶礼，并且触碰他的莲花足。
So Lord Chaitanya was laying on a platform, a platform which was off the ground, and he was laying down there with his eyes closed, and at that time the king came and began to massage his legs.
这会儿Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu呢，他是睡在就是比地面稍微高一点的这个台子上的，他躺在那儿，然后眼睛是闭着的。 然后国王呢就来到他的面前，就开始为主 Caitanya Mahaprabhu 按摩他的双腿。
So when the king began to give massage to Lord Chaitanya, at that time he began to recite verses from the Srimad Bhagavatam.
所以呢，当国王开始在为主 Caitanya Mahaprabhu 按摩他的双腿的时候，他就开始诵读圣典普加瓦坛里面的诗节。
And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya had told him to recite from there's 5 chapters which are about the pastimes of Lord Krishna with the gopis. He said you can recite from that section.
因为在圣典普加瓦坛里面有5个章节讲的是 Sri Krishna 与 Gopi 们的消时光的话题的。然后 Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya 呢就跟国王说，可以诵念这一部分的内容。
And the section which the king began to recite was the section which is the Gopi Gita, the song sung by the gopis.
所以呢，国王他所念的这一部分呢，是 Gopi Gita 的这一部分，也就是 Gopi 之歌。
Yeah, it's in the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, and it's chapter number 31.
这是在圣典博伽瓦坛第10篇的第31章。
And it's not a big chapter, there's only 19 verses.
这一章呢，不是有很多的诗节的一个篇章，里面只有19个诗节。
And these are very beautiful verses, and they're written in a very beautiful poetic manner.
那么这是非常美的诗节，所有的这些诗节呢，都是充满着诗情画意的。
And you get some devotees, they can sing, and when you hear it, it's so beautiful.
那有些奉献者呢是会唱的，当他们在唱出来，然后我们在听的时候呢，就会感觉其中是多么的美妙。
Jayati Tedikam Janmana Braja Shrayata Indira Shasvadatrahi Daita Drishyatam Dikshutavaka Tvaidritasavas Tvambachinvate. Like that, that's the first verse of the Gopi Gita.
那么就像这样的，刚才 Maharaj 唱的这个呢，就是 Gopi Gita 之歌的第一个诗节。
Wait, I have a recording. I'll let Okay, I hope you liked that.
马尔刚才给咱们放的就是这首歌里面的一部分，他说他希望咱们能够喜欢。
That's Indian people singing it very beautifully.
这是由印度的歌手演唱的，唱得很美。
So it's a song of the gopis are searching for Krishna. They don't know where he's gone. Krishna had called them to come to the forest to dance Rasa Lila. But at a certain point, Krishna disappeared from them.
因为 Gopi 们呢在四处的寻找 Krishna， 他们不知道 Krishna 去了哪里。因为 Krishna 呼唤 Gopi 们来这里和他一起来共跳 Rasa 之舞，但是呢，突然在某一个时间的时候呢，Sri Krishna 就消失了，然后 Gopi 们不知道他去了哪里。
So the gopis, they're in so much anxiety that where is Krishna? Where did he go?
所以说呢 ，Gopi 们就处于极度的焦虑之中，他们就在想 Krishna 到哪里去了？他到底去了哪里？
And they're worried about Krishna's soft lotus feet because in Vrindavan there's many sharp stones and thorns on the ground, and they're worried that they'll be pricking Krishna's soft lotus feet.
因为他们非常为 Sri Krishna 的柔软的莲花足担忧，因为在森林里面呢有很多很硬的石子儿，还有很多的刺荆棘，所以呢他们就会担心说这一刺呢就会刺痛 Sri Krishna 的柔软的莲花足。
So the gopis are singing also. They're singing about how Lord Brahma was stupid, that he gave us eyes which blink and we cannot see Krishna. Because of the blinking of our eyes, we lose the sight of Krishna.
然后呢，他们还在责备主 Brahma 的创造，责备主 Brahma 他创造了这个眼皮，以至于呢，就是我们必须要眨眼，这么一眨眼呢，就看不见是 Krishna 了。
So the king, he had memorized all these verses, and he was singing them while he was massaging Lord Caitanya.
所以国王呢，他是记住所有的这些诗节了，然后呢，当他在给Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu按摩的时候呢，他就在唱诵说这些诗节。
And when Lord Caitanya heard these verses, he was so happy because he knew exactly what was being sung, what was being said.
当时Caitanya Mahaprabhu听到所有这些诗歌被唱出来的时候呢，他非常的开心，因为他知道唱的都是什么。
So he said, "Go on reciting, go on reciting."
所以呢，他就说到 请继续不断的念诵，不断的唱诵，不断的唱诵，不断的诵念。
So at a certain point, the king came to the 9th verse, verse number 9.
唱着唱着呢，国王就唱到了第9个世节。
And the verse was Tava Caitanya Tapta Jivanam Kavibiritam Kaumasapaham Shravana Mangalam Srimadatatam Bhuvikrinantite Buridajana. And when the king heard this, when Lord Caitanya heard this, when he heard this Tava Caritamrta, then Lord Caitanya became very ecstatic and he embraced the king.
所以呢，当主 Caitanya Mahaprabhu 听到了 Tava Caritamrta 的时候，所以 Caitanya Mahaprabhu 就变得极乐了，他一下子就抱住了国王。
And he said, oh, he embraced the king. He said, you have given me invaluable gems.
然后呢，他就抱着国王对他说：“哦，你给了我无价的宝石。”
But I have nothing to give you in return.
但是我却没有什么可以回报你的。
So I'm just embracing you.
所以我只能拥抱你。
And Lord Caitanya began to recite the verse again and again.
然后Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu就开始一次又一次的诵念这个世节。
And the king and Lord Caitanya were both trembling and tears were flowing from their eyes.
国王和Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu都在颤抖着，泪水从他们的眼中滚滚而落。
So this verse is very beautiful. You may like to learn it yourself. The gopis are saying that they're saying, of course they're looking where is Krishna, they don't know where it is, but they're praying to him that the nectar of your words and the descriptions of your activities are the life and soul for those devotees who take shelter of you.
所以呢，这个世节是很美的，也许我们大家呢都可以去学习一下这个世节。那公婢们呢，他们是在这样唱的，因为他不知道是 Krishna 在哪，他们就说：您话语的甘露和对您活动的描述，都是在这物质世界里受苦之人的生命之魂。
For people who are suffering in the material world, then these words are the real shelter.
在这物质世界受苦的人，这些话语都是他们真正的庇护。
And these narrations are transmitted by great personalities.
而且这些话语呢，是由伟大的人物们所传递、讲述。
And they destroy all sinful reactions.
他们就消除了所有的恶报。
And whoever hears these narrations, they get all good fortune.
任何听到这些讲述的人，他们就得到了一切的好运。
These narrations are broadcast all over the world.
而这叙述呢，是在全世界广泛的流传。
And these narrations have great spiritual power.
而且这样的这个讲述呢，是有非常强大的灵性的力量的。
Those people who spread the message of Godhead are the most munificent welfare workers.
那些传播这守神信息的人，无疑是最慷慨的灵性的工作者。
So when Lord Caitanya heard this verse, he embraced the king.
所以当Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu听完这些话之后呢，他就拥抱了国王。
And he said to the king, "You are the most munificent."
然后呢，他就对国王说：“你是最慷慨的。”
You are the most munificent welfare worker.
你是最慷慨的福利工作者。
So then Lord Caitanya didn't even know he was talking to the king.
Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu他根本就不知道他是在和这位国王在讲话。
So Lord Chaitanya's mercy was given because of the king's wonderful service.
Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 他之所以会给予仁慈的原因呢，就是由于这位国王所做的非常的美妙的服务。
And with Lord Chaitanya didn't even ask, who is this man? But Lord Chaitanya just gave his mercy to him.
所以 Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 根本就没有问这人到底是谁，但是呢，他把他的仁慈给了他。
So this is the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. Without even inquiring about the king, the Lord Chaitanya made everything possible.
所以说呢，这就是 Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 的仁慈，他根本就没有询问这位国王的身份，他就把一切演绎得如此曼妙。
So anyone who does any service for Krishna, that it's never wasted, it never goes in vain.
所以说呢，任何一个人为 Sri Krishna 所做的任何一点服务都不会是徒劳的。
Lord Krishna says this in the Bhagavad Gita.
那么 Krishna 也在《国家放歌》里面讲的这一点。
He says in the second chapter, Swalpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahatobhaya. Just a little advancement on the path saves you from the greatest danger.
在第2章里面他就讲到了，在这路途上的些许进步，也保护你免除最危险的恐惧。
So Lord Chaitanya has given us this Sankirtan movement, which is the most powerful method of devotional service.
所以呢，Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 呢就给了我们这Sankirtan运动，这是最有力量的奉爱服务的形式。
And anybody who takes to this mercy, they will immediately come to the transcendental position.
任何得到了这个仁慈的人，他立刻都处在了超然之境。
We need to get the mercy of Lord Chaitanya.
那我们需要得到Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 的仁慈。
Just like the king of Puri, he had to get the mercy of Lord Chaitanya.
那么就好像普瑞的国王一样，他必须要得到Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 的仁慈。
The king wanted to be recognized by Lord Chaitanya.
国王他希望能够被主Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 所认出来。
So if we do a little service, make a little sincere effort to serve Krishna, then we'll get the success. We'll be able to go back home, back to Godhead.
所以，如果我们要是为Sri Krishna 做了一点服务，我们哪怕是只是付出了一点点真诚的努力的话，为Sri Krishna 做了服务，我们也都能够回到守神的身边去了。
Yeah, because Lord Chaitanya saw how the king was serving Lord Jagannath, so he saw the king was worthy of his mercy.
因为主Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 他看到了国王是怎么服务主 Jagannath， 所以呢，他就觉得国王是值得得到这个仁慈的。
So even though the king changed his dress, Lord Chaitanya didn't ask, who is this man? Lord Chaitanya just gave his mercy to him.
所以说呢，虽然说国王他换了他的衣服，但是呢，主Chaitanya Mahaprabhu根本就没有问这人是谁，只是把他的仁慈给了他。
So the author of the Caitanya Caritamrta, Krishnadas Kaviraj, he wants to show us the mercy of Lord Chaitanya.
Caitanya Caritamrta 的作者 Krishnadas Kaviraj Maharaj 呢，他希望向我们展示Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 的仁慈。
And he wants to show us how Lord Chaitanya gave the mercy to Maharaj Prataparudra.
而且呢，他也想向我们展示Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 是如何把他的仁慈给予了Prataparudra王的。
So this Krishna consciousness movement is spread by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya.
所以说呢，Krishna 知觉运动呢是由Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 的仁慈所传播开来的。
Lord Chaitanya is the most merciful of all of Krishna's incarnations.
那所以说呢，在Sri Krishna 的所有的化身中，Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 是最仁慈的一位。
He's giving love of God to everyone.
他把神爱派给了所有的人。
Sometimes we sing the song, Paramakaruna Pahudvijana Nitai Gora Chandra Paramakaruna Pahud. These two, Dvijana means these two lords, Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, are very, very merciful.
那在这歌中唱的 Dvija 呢，指的是2位主，就是 Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 和主 Nityananda， 他们都是非常仁慈的主。
There's no one who can compare to their mercy.
对于他们的仁慈来说呢，其他没有任何人可以比拟的。
And it's also said in another song that Brajendra Nandana se Sachi Sutta Hailahe Balaram Hailo Nitai Dinahina Yatachilo Harinam Udarilo Tarashakshi Jogai Madhai. This is the mercy of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, is that they could deliver fallen souls like Jagai and Madhai.
那在另外一首歌里面就唱到了，就是由于Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 和主 Nityananda 的仁慈，使得他们能够拯救像加盖和麻袋这样堕落的灵魂。
So Lord Chaitanya's movement, his special mission, is to deliver the fallen souls in the Kali Yuga.
所以说呢，Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 他的这个运动的特别的使命，就是拯救在卡利年代的这些堕落灵魂们。
So we have to try to get the mercy of Lord Chaitanya.
所以呢，我们必须要努力的去获得Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 的仁慈。
And then we become qualified to go back home, back to Godhead.
然后呢，我们就变得具有了资格，能够回到首圣身边去了。
So then Lord Chaitanya turns to the king and he says to the king, "Who are you? You have done so much for me."
对，然后呢，Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 呢就转身对国王说：“你是谁呀？你为我做了这么多事情。”
Suddenly you came here and you're making me drink the nectar of Krishna's pastimes.
你突然之间来到这里，然后呢，让我来喝饮是 Krishna 的逍遥时光的蜜露。
And so the king says to Lord Chaitanya, "I am the most obedient servant of your servants."
然后国王就对主Chaitanya Mahaprabhu说：“我是您的仆人的最恭慎的仆人。”
It is my ambition that you will allow me to become the servant of your servants.
那我的雄心壮志就在于您允许我成为您的仆人的仆人。
That's a great thing, a very nice thing. We should want to become a servant of the servants of Krishna.
那这是一个非常美好的想法，就是我们希望让自己成为 Krishna 的仆人的仆人的仆人。
Is it okay?
Yes, I mute her.
Okay. Nobody should want to become the direct servant of Krishna.
那没有任何一个人希望自己成为 Krishna 直接的仆人。
That is not good.
那个不太好。
Prahlad Maharaj was offered a benediction by Lord Nrsingadev, but Prahlad said no.
主尼辛哈德夫呢，就让Prahlad Maharaj 向他讨要仁慈，但是呢，Prahlad Maharaj 说不要。
I don't want any material benediction.
他说呢，我不想要任何的物质的祝福。
Just let me be a servant of your servants.
就是请让我成为您的仆人的仆人。
In the same way, Dhruva Maharaj was offered benediction by Kuvera, the treasurer of the demigods.
那同样呢，半神人里面的财神 Kuvera 也对这个Dhruva Maharaj 说，请他从他这里要一个祝福。
So Dhruva could have asked for any kind of wealth from Kuvera.
那Dhruva他本来是可以从 Kuvera 那里要得任何的财宝的，
But he said, just let me be the servant of your servants,
但是他说呢，你就允许让我成为你的仆人的仆人。
who are all servants of the Supreme Lord.
那么所有的这些仆人们都是至尊主的仆人。
And then also Koloveka Sridhar was a very poor man.
Koloveka Sridhar 他也是一个非常穷苦的人。
And Lord Chaitanya wanted to give him a benediction.
主Chaitanya Mahaprabhu呢是想给他一个祝福的。
But he said, no, I just want to remain the servant of your servants.
他说不，我只是就想始终保持着您的仆人的位置就好了。
So that's the best benediction we can get.
那么，所以这个呢，是我们能够得到的最好的嘉奖。
So Lord Caitanya showed some of his opulences to the king, but he did not allow him to tell anyone.
那所以说呢，主产丹尼玛巴布就把他的一些富裕的展现给了国王，但是呢，他让国王不要把这件事情告诉其他任何一个人。
So Lord Caitanya knew everything, but he didn't discuss it with anybody.
所以产丹尼玛巴布他是无所不知、无所不晓的，但是呢，他并不会和所有的人去探讨所有的这些事情。
He didn't tell people that I know I was talking with the king. He didn't say that.
他并没有说我知道。Sorry, Marge.
He didn't tell other people that he knew that he was talking with the king.
OK， 他并没有跟别人说他知道他在和这个国王在谈话。
Yeah, he just kept it secret.
所以呢，就只是把这个事情给当成一个秘密就好了。
But all the devotees who saw it, they saw the king get the mercy of Lord Caitanya, and they all said, "Oh, the king is very fortunate."
那么所有在场的家的奉献者，他们就看到了国王从Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu这得到了仁慈，所以呢，他们就说这国王实在是太幸运了。
So this is the mode of devotees, pure devotees. We shouldn't be envious of other devotees.
那作为一个纯粹的奉献者，他所具备的一个心态就是不应该去嫉妒其他的奉献者们。
When we see somebody make advancement, we shouldn't be envious. We should be happy for them.
当我们看到其他的奉献者取得进步的时候呢，我们应该为他们高兴，不应该嫉妒他们。
Just like this king got the mercy of Lord Caitanya.
那么就好像这位国王，他从Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu那儿得到了仁慈。
So the same way, Prabhupada says, without the mercy of Lord Caitanya, we cannot preach Krishna consciousness.
那同样，施拉帕帕说呢，如果是没有Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu的仁慈的话，我们是不可能传播 Krishna 知觉的。
But still we get some devotees, some people who are supposed to be devotees, they don't like to see our Krishna conscious movement spreading around the world.
但是呢，我们还是有一些这个奉献者们，他们 is devotees or non-devotees, they don't want to see.
They're devotees.
OK， 那么但是呢，还是有一些奉献者，他们其实并不希望看到我们的 Krishna 知觉传遍到世界各地的。
Yeah, they find fault with the preachers who go and spread the movement.
他们呢会在传播这个运动的那些传教者身上挑错。
They don't appreciate the fact that they went through, they took so many risks and they accepted so much austerity to go to foreign countries.
他们并没有感激他们经历了这么多苦行，经历了这么多艰难，到国外去传播。
But they just simply criticize them. So this is some envious mentality.
他们仅仅就是在批评他们，所以呢，这是很嫉妒的一种心态。
So the king offered prayers and obeisances to Lord Caitanya, and then he went outside.
所以呢，这位国王呢，他就向主顶拜，然后呢，向主献上了祷文，然后他就出来了。
And then the devotees brought all the prasadam. Lord Caitanya took lunch with all the devotees.
然后呢，奉献者们就端上了 prasadam， 然后Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu呢就和所有的奉献者们一起荣耀 prasadam。
And the king also sent a lot of prasadam there for Lord Caitanya and for all the devotees.
当时国王呢也为主Chaitanya Mahaprabhu和所有的奉献者们准备了很多的 prasadam。
There were things like uncooked milk and fruits and the best quality of everything.
那里呢有一些就是没有煮过的牛奶，还有一些这个水果，还有这个各种各样的 非常上乘的高品质的食物。
All the prasadam which had been offered, that had been cooked by all the brahmanas, it was all brought there.
那所有的这些 prasada 们呢，全都是由婆罗门们所烹制的，全部都供奉完了之后呢，给带到了这个花园里面。
So there was curd.
有 curd 就是一种奶酪。
Yeah, right. And then there was fruit juice.
还有果汁。
And coconut.
还有椰奶，椰子。椰子。
Mango.
芒果。
And then jackfruit.
还有就是 jackfruit。
菠萝蜜。
对，菠萝蜜。
And various kinds of bananas.
还有就是各种各样的香蕉。
And you know, in Orissa, that part of India, there are many different kinds of bananas.
那我们知道，在印度的 Orissa 这个地方呢，有各种各样的香蕉。
And then there were the seeds from the palm fruit.
还有呢，就是从棕榈果，就是棕榈果子。
And there were oranges.
还有橘子、橙子。
And grapefruit.
葡萄。
No, grapefruit.
哦，柚子。
Right. And tangerines.
还有柑橘。
Almonds. 杏仁。
哦，杏仁，对，杏仁。
Dry fruit.
还有一些干果。
Raisins and dates.
还有就是葡萄干之类的东西，还有枣。
And there were hundreds of different kinds of sweets.
还有各种各样的成百上千道的甜品。
And all different types of condensed milk.
还有各种各样的炼乳。
And then there's papaya.
还有木瓜。
And then there was also a squash which had been crushed.
还有就是西葫芦，就是被 what do you mean by crushed?
Crushed and smashed. And
就是被压成酱的西葫芦。
And then there was all different kinds of cream.
还有各种各样的乳汁。
And then some cream has even been fried cream.
就还有一些这个炼乳制品呢，就是一些奶酪的这个东西，它是把它给炸了的。
And they had a puri made with cream.
还有用炼乳制成的 puri 制成的饼。
And then there were pomegranates.
还有石榴。
And then sweets made with black pepper.
有黑胡椒做的甜品。
And sweets made with sugar.
有糖做的甜品。
And there was the lotus flower sugar.
还有莲花糖。
And there was a bread made from urdal. 白豆。
白豆就是还有用这个白豆所制成的糕点。
And there were different sweets which were had been fried.
还有炸制的甜品。
And there was sugar candy.
还有甜甘蔗。
And sesame sweets.
还有由芝麻做成的甜品。
And biscuits, cookies made from sesame seeds.
由芝麻所做成的各种各样的饼干。
And using the sweets, they made them in the shape. Some sweets were made in the shape. They looked like oranges and lemon and mango.
他们把这个甜品呢，还做成各种各样的形象，比如说有的是像橙子呀，有的像芒果呀。
And there was yogurt and milk and buttermilk.
然后还有牛奶、酸奶，还有乳酪、酸奶制品、酸奶的饮料。
And then preparations made from yogurt.
还有用酸奶所制成的食物。
And there was moon dal sprouts, salty moon dal sprouts.
还有就是甜味儿的豆汤。
Yeah,豆汤 yeah, sprouts.
就是有甜味儿的绿豆芽儿。
With shredded ginger.
这里面呢，就是这个豆芽里面还拌上了擦层丝儿的姜。
And there were various types of pickles.
还有各种各样的咸菜。
And they had like lemon pickle and berry pickle.
比如说呢，是用柠檬啊，还要用浆果制成的咸菜。
And there were so many varieties of food that we cannot describe them all.
所以有这个食物的种类是非常繁多的，我们没有办法描述所有的食物。
So when Lord Caitanya saw all the varieties of prasadam, how it was filling the garden, he was very happy.
所以呢，当Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu看到各种各样的食物充满了整个花园的时候呢，他特别开心。
He was thinking Lord Jagannath had accepted all this food.
那他就在想，主Jagannatha接受了所有的这些食物。
So Prabhupada said, we as devotees, we should also be happy to see nice food offered to the deities.
那所以说，爸爸说呢，作为我们奉献者，当我们看到非常上乘的食物供给神像的时候呢，我们也应该感到非常的开心。
We're not anxious to get all these types of food for our own self, but we want to see all offered to the deity.
但是我们自己不要渴望着能够吃到所有的这些各种各样的食物，但是我们应该非常渴望所有的这些食物都能供奉给神像。
It's part of the duty of the spiritual teacher to see that the disciples make nice foodstuffs to offer to the deity.
作为灵性导师，他其中有一个职责，就是看到他的门徒能够做各种各样的上乘的食物献给神像。
And after the food is offered to the deity, then it's all distributed.
那么当这个食物供奉给神像之后呢，这些食物都要被派发。
Of course, the spiritual teacher, he doesn't need to eat all of these things.
那么当然，灵性导师自己本人并不需要吃到所有的这些食物。
But he likes to see it all distributed to the public.
但是呢，他希望看到这些食物能够派发给大众。
So, Prabhupada liked to see, he would often, when he would come to the temples, he would want to see what is the prasadam, what are you distributing?
所以呢，当沙巴巴他来到庙里的时候呢，他也喜欢看一看这庙里面都准备了什么 prasadam， 都要派一些什么样的 prasadam。
Particularly if we had a public program and we would distribute prasadam at the end of the lecture, Prabhupada would want to see what prasadam we were giving.
特别是我们当有这个对外的节目的时候，在节目的最后呢，我们就会派发 prasadam。那么沙巴巴这会儿他就喜欢去看一看，这会儿我们都派的是什么 prasadam。
And then on the Sunday program, when we had a Sunday program and many guests would come, Prabhupada would want to know, he'd say, bring me a plate, I want to see what you're distributing to everyone.
那么在星期天的这个节目的时候呢，因为我们是要向客人派发 prasadam 的，所以呢，水老帕帕呢他就会说，也给我派一盘，我想看看你们给客人都派了一些什么 prasadam。
So one time in Los Angeles, the devotees brought sweets for Prabhupada, and the sweets were made with some kind of chocolate.
然后有一次呢，在旧金山，奉献者呢就给水老帕帕盛上了甜品。那么这个甜品呢是用巧克力做的。
And Prabhupada said, what is this? What kind of sweet is this?
然后水老帕帕就问这是什么呀？这是什么样的甜品呢？
And Prabhupada said, why don't you make the sweets I showed you how to make?
然后呢，水老帕帕就说你为什么不做我教你们做的甜品呢？
Prabhupada taught us to make things like rasgulla and gulab jamun and sandesh and burfi, Bengali sweets.
因为水老帕帕呢，他就教我们做了一些孟加拉的这个甜品，比如说 gulab jamun、rasgulla， 还有 sandesh， 还有还有什么来着？
Bengali. Bengali
这都是孟加拉的这个甜品。
So Prabhupada said you should make these sweets. These Bengali sweets are pleasing to Krishna.
然后呢，释迦爸爸就说你们应该学着做孟加拉的甜品，因为这孟加拉的甜品呢是很取悦 Krishna 的。
So Lord Chaitanya is taking prasadam with all the devotees. All the devotees sat in lines, and Lord Chaitanya personally began to distribute the prasadam.
所以呢，Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu呢就和所有的奉献者们一起共享 prasadam， 然后所有的这些奉献者们呢就做成了一排一排的。然后Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu呢亲自向这些奉献者们派发 prasadam。
He knew the devotees who had been doing kirtan were all tired, so he wanted to give them good prasadam.
但因为他知道所有的这些奉献者们都一直在唱诵 kirtan， 他们一定非常的疲惫了，所以呢，他就希望能够把非常好的 prasadam 能够给他们。
But the devotees wouldn't eat, and they said, "We're not going to eat until Lord Chaitanya sits down and takes prasadam."
但是呢，这些奉献者们就不吃。他说呢，我们不吃，我们直到您什么时候坐下来荣耀 prasadam 的时候，我们才吃呢。
So they had to tell Lord Chaitanya, "You have to sit down. Only then the devotees will eat."
那所以说呢，人们就必须得告诉Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu，您必须得坐下，否则的话呢，奉献者们就不吃饭。
So Lord Chaitanya sat down with all the devotees, and everybody was fed up to the full, up to the neck.
所以说呢，Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu就坐下来了，和奉献者们一起荣耀 prasadam， 所有的人全部都吃到了嗓子眼儿。
And so then after everybody washed their hands, and then there was so much extra prasadam, it was distributed to thousands of other people.
那当所有的奉献者们荣耀完了之后，都洗了手之后呢，还剩下好多好多的prasadam， 所以呢，这个 prasadam 就派给了成千上万的人。
Then Lord Chaitanya told his servants, he said, "Call for all the poor beggars and feed them."
然后是Chaitanya Mahaprabhu对仆人说呢，要唤来所有的这些穷苦的乞丐们，然后呢，把这些食物派给他们 ，prasadam 派给他们。
And when Lord Chaitanya saw the beggars all eating prasadam, Lord Chaitanya chanted Hari Bol, and Lord Chaitanya got them also to chant the holy name.
那么当主Chaitanya Mahaprabhu看到所有的这些乞丐们在荣耀 prasadam 的时候，Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu就唱诵着 Hari Bol， 然后呢，他也让所有的这些乞丐们一起唱诵了圣名。
So Lord Chaitanya was teaching them, the people, he was telling them, chant the holy name because it means you're also a servant of Krishna.
那然后Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu就对他们说呢，你们要唱诵圣名，因为这就意味着你们也是 Sri Krishna 的仆人。
Everybody wants to come to that level of Krishna consciousness.
因为所有的人呢，都希望能够去到这一层面的 Krishna 知觉。
So Lord Chaitanya was teaching people, even the beggars, to chant the Hare Krishna mantra.
所以说呢，Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu呢就在教导教导世人，即使是乞丐，也要唱诵 Hare Krishna 曼陀罗。
And on the transcendental platform, there's no distinction between the rich or the poor.
而且呢，从超人的层面上来讲呢，穷人跟富人之间是没有任何的区别的。
The Prabhupada said, "Don't just give prasadam to the poor, give to the rich also. Don't just give prasadam to the rich, give to the poor also. Don't just go to the poor. The rich also need prasadam. Everyone needs prasadam."
然后呢，Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu说呢，不要仅仅是把这 prasadam 给予穷人，也要把 prasadam 给予富人，所有的人都需要 prasadam。Maharaj?
Sorry, I just had to take care of my body for a minute. Okay, so the beggars were all chanting Haribol, and they all became ecstatic.
那所有的这些乞丐们都在唱诵着哈利波，而且所有人都变得非常的极乐。
So we should give Krishna consciousness to everyone without discrimination.
那所以说，我们也应该没有任何分辨性的把 Krishna 知觉给所有的人。
In the spiritual world, there's no high and low class. Everybody's the same.
在灵性世界是没有高等人和低等人的，所有人都是一样的。
So we want to see all the people equally.
那所以说呢，我们希望能够平等的对待所有的人。
So Lord Caitanya came out of the garden, and it was time to pull the chariot.
那所以呢，主Caitanya马哈布呢，他就从花园里面走出来了。然后呢，是又要拉车的时间了。
But they were trying to pull it, but it wouldn't move forward. It wouldn't move.
但是呢，他们就使劲的拉这个车，可是这车呢就一点也不动。
So then they called the king, and the king was in anxiety, and the king he got some very big, strong wrestlers to come.
然后呢，这个他们就换来了这个国王。国王这会儿非常的焦虑，所以呢，他就安排了一位身强力大的摔跤手来了。
But the king, but all the strong men, big strong men, and the king himself, they all joined in, but still the car wouldn't move.
所以说呢，就是这些身强力大的人，还有国王本人，都在使劲的拉这部车，但这车呢，它就是一动不动。
So the king became more anxious. So then he got some big elephants to come.
所以呢，这车呢，国王呢就变得更加的焦虑了。所以呢，他就安排了一些大象。
And they put the harness on. They put this big harness around the elephants, and they had these elephants pull, but still the car wouldn't move an inch.
所以他们就把这个绳子呢，就套在了大象的身上，然后呢，让大象来拖这个车。可是这个车呢，依然是一丝不动。
So then Lord Caitanya heard about it, and he came with all the devotees.
然后Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu他听说这件事之后呢，他就和所有的这些奉献者们都来了。
And Lord Caitanya was watching. The elephants were trying to pull, and the men on there was the men beating the elephants, and the elephants were crying.
然后呢Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu他看到这个场景，就是所有的人都在使劲的拖这个车，那这个身强力壮的人也在拖这个车。然后呢，他们还用这个棍儿在打这个大象，大象呢也在使劲的吼叫着。
But still, the chariot wouldn't move. The people were saying, "Ayah, ayah."
但是呢，就这车它就是一点也不动，所以人们都在说：“哎呀，哎呀。”
So then, Lord Caitanya said, "Get the elephants, take the elephants away."
所以呢，主Chaitanya爸爸说呢，让大象下来，别让这个大象在这儿。
Now give the ropes of the chariot, put them in the hands of our devotees.
然后呢，把这个绳子交到我们的奉献者的手里。
And then Lord Caitanya went to the back of the chariot, and he began to push with his head.
然后呢，Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu呢就来到了车的后面，他就开始用他的头来顶这个车。
And the chariot, big chariot, began to roll and made a rattling sound.
那么这会儿呢，这辆巨大的车子，它又开始发着这个滚动的这个声音移动了。
No, the devotees didn't even need to pull. They just held the rope in their hands, and the chariot was moving on its own.
奉献者们根本就不需要拖这个车，他们不过是比划着手里拿着这个绳子而已，这个车子自己就动了。
And then when the people saw the chariot move, they all cried, "Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath."
那当他们看到车子又动起来的时候呢，他们都大声呼唤着 "Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath."
And then the car came to the door of the Gundicha temple.
然后呢，这个车子就来到了贡迪刹庙的门口。
Everyone was just amazed to see the strength of Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu.
那所有人呢都非常的惊愕的看着 Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 所具有的巨大的力量。
And people were all chanting, Jai Gaurachandra, Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya.
所有人都在大声的呼唤着 Jai Gaurachandra, Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya.
太美妙 wonderful.
太美妙了。
Seeing the great, and then Lord Chaitanya, the king and all the men, they were so ecstatic, their hairs were standing on end to see these pastimes with Lord Chaitanya.
那么所有的这些看着Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu的逍遥时光的人呢，都非常的极乐，然后他们露出了这个极乐的真相，就是所有的毛发都竖起来了。
So then they brought Lord Jagannath off the chariot and they brought him into the throne, put him on his throne.
那然后呢，他们就把主 Jagannath 请下了车子，并且呢把他请到了神坛上，他的这个座位上。
Lord Balaram and Subhadra Maharani, they also came.
接着呢，他们也把主 Balaram 和 Subhadra Maharani 也都请到了他们各自的位子上。
And then they had a little bathing of Lord Jagannath, and then finally they offered the food to the deities.
然后呢，他们为主 Jagannath 做了一个简单的沐浴，之后呢，把这个食物供奉给了神像。
And Lord Chaitanya and all the devotees, they were doing Sankirtan.
那么当时Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu以及所有的这些奉献者们又开始进行了 Sankirtan。
Lord Chaitanya was in ecstasy, and all the people who saw him, they were also in ecstasy.
Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 呢是处于极乐之中，当时在场的所有的这些奉献者们也都是极乐开怀。
And then they had the arti in the evening, and Lord Chaitanya came, he saw the arti.
然后在晚上的时候呢，他们做了 arti， 主 Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 呢也来观看灯仪。
And then for 9 days, it went on for 9 days, and devotees like Advaita Acharya, they had the opportunity to invite Lord Chaitanya to their home.
那然后呢，接着这9天的这个时间里面，有一些奉献者，比如说像 Advaita Acharya， 就这样的奉献者就有机会请 Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 到他们的家里去。
So they were staying, they'd come there, they were staying there for the Chaturmasya, which is 4 months. So different people got an opportunity to invite the Lord to come and take prasadam at their home.
因为呢，他们要在这儿待，主 Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 要在这儿待一段时间，因为是 Chaturmasya， 也就是4月苦行的时候，那么就使得有不少人都有机会请 Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 到他们家中去荣耀prasadam。
So there were so many devotees, not everybody got an opportunity to invite Lord Chaitanya.
但是呢，因为奉献者太多了，并不是所有的奉献者都有这个机会能够邀请 Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu。
So sometimes 2 or 3 devotees would join together and they would cook for Lord Chaitanya.
所以呢，有的时候呢，这个2位或者3位奉献者他们会合起来一起为 Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 做饭。
So Lord Chaitanya would wake up early in the morning and take his bath, and then he would go to see Lord Jagannath in the temple.
那所以呢，Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 呢，他会清晨起身之后呢，先去沐浴，然后呢，他就会到庙里面去觐见主 Jagannath。
And they would do Sankirtan, they'd be chanting and dancing, and Lord Chaitanya would get other devotees like Lord Nityananda and Advaita to chant and dance.
然后呢，他们就会进行 Sankirtan， 他们就会唱诵，他们就会跳舞。然后 Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 呢，也会让其他的奉献者，比如说像主 Nityananda 和主 Advaita Acharya 一起来唱诵跳舞。
And sometimes you get Haridas Thakur to dance.
他有的时候呢，也会请 Haridas Thakur 跳舞。
And then Vakreshwara Pandit, he was a great dancer. Lord Chaitanya would get him to dance.
而且呢 Vakreshwara Pandit 他也是一位非常伟大，就是了不起的舞者，所以呢，Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 呢也会请他来跳舞。
So every day, 3 times a day, they would have Sankirtan.
所以说呢，在一天中呢，有3次他们都会进行 Sankirtan。
They'd have it in the morning, they'd have Sankirtan again at noon, and then in the evening again.
那所以呢，他们就会在清晨， 然后在午间以及在晚上都会进行 Sankirtan。
And so Lord Chaitanya, by doing Sankirtan, he felt like Lord Krishna had come back to Vrindavan.
所以就是通过这样的 Sankirtan 呢，是Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 就觉得 Sri Krishna 回到了文达文。
So his feeling of separation from Krishna was subsided.
所以说呢，他对 Sri Krishna 的这种分离之情就变得弱化了下来。
Lord Chaitanya was always thinking about the pastimes of Radha and Krishna.
Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 他时刻都在意念着 Radha 和 Krishna 的逍遥。
And he would always be in that consciousness.
所以呢，他总是处在那样的知觉中的。
So there were many gardens just near to the Gundicha temple.
在拱地城的庙的附近呢，有很多的花园。
And Lord Chaitanya used to perform pastimes of Vrindavan in these different places.
那Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu呢，之前会在这些地方上演在文达文的逍遥。
And there's a big lake just near the Gundicha temple, which is named the Indradyumna Lake.
在拱地城庙旁边呢，有一座湖，这座湖呢被命名为 Indradyumna 湖。
Of course, the king of Puri was Indradyumna, so it was named after him.
那当然了，这个 Puri 的国王的名字就是 Indradyumna， 所以这座湖呢是以他的名字而命名的。
So the Lord Chaitanya went into the lake and began to play in the lake. He began to splash all the devotees with water.
所以呢，Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu呢就来到这个湖里面，然后呢就和所有的奉献者们开始在湖里面开始玩耍起来。
So all the devotees, they got round, everybody was splashing each other.
那所有的这些奉献者们呢，他们都在彼此之间相互泼水。
And sometimes they'd be in circles, and sometimes one person against another.
他们有的时候呢是这个围着圈儿在玩，有的时候呢是一个人在被其他的人就是在彼此之间相互打。
And sometimes, although they were in the water, some of them would be playing kartals.
还有的时候呢，虽然是在水里面，但是还会有人打挠脖。
And others would be imitating the croaking of frogs.
而且呢，还有人呢，他就会学青蛙的叫声。
And sometimes they go in pairs and they'd fight each other.
还有的时候呢，他们可能会组成这个一对儿一对儿的，彼此之间相互的打斗。
So Lord Chaitanya was watching all the fun.
所以Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu呢，就看着所有他们做的这些游戏。
Advaita Acharya was fighting Lord Nityananda.
Advaita Acharya 是在和朱尼田南的打。
Advaita Acharya got defeated.
Advaita Acharya 就被打败了。
And Lord Nityananda called him many bad names.
然后呢，朱尼田南的呢就对他说了好多脏话。
And then Srivas and Gadadhar, they were also fighting with each other.
然后呢 ，Srivas 和 Gadadhar 他们呢也在彼此之间的相互打斗。
And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he was also fighting with Ramananda Rai.
Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya 呢是在和 Ramananda Rai 在彼此之间相互打斗。
Now, the Bhattacharya and Ramananda Rai was the governor, and Bhattacharya, they're both very senior people, and they usually are very grave. But when they started fighting in the water, they lost their gravity and they became like children.
那么这个 Ramananda Rai 呢，他本来是个政府的高官，而Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya 呢，也是一位德高望重的人物。他们俩人其实是非常的年长的，而且呢，经常也是很严肃的。可是当他们在水里面一打斗的时候呢，他们就失去了他们往日的那个庄严的那个状态，就像两个小孩一样在打斗着。
So Lord Chaitanya was watching and he was smiling.
那么Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu呢就看着，然后脸上露出着笑容。
And he had to tell the Bhattacharya and Ramananda Rai, he said, tell them that stop their childish play, because they are both very intelligent and very learned scholars.
然后呢，Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu就必须要阻止 Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya 和 Ramananda Roy 的像孩子般的打闹，因为呢，他们两人都是德高望重的、非常的有智慧的学者。
And they're both great personalities. They shouldn't be behaving like children.
那他们都是非常了不起的伟大人物，所以他们不应该像小孩这样。
So this is the mercy of Lord Caitanya. One drop of the ocean of the mercy of Lord Caitanya swells up.
所以说，那么所以呢，这就是 Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 所显现的一滴仁慈。
One drop of the mercy of Lord Caitanya can drown a great mountain like Sumeru Mountain or Mandara Mountain.
但是呢，如 Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 的一滴仁慈就可以淹没整座的梅鲁山或者是曼达拉山。
And these two men, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya and Ramananda Roy, they're like little hills in comparison to those mountains.
那么如果是和这个山来相比呢，Ramananda Roy 和 Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya 他们就像是两座小山丘一样。
That's why they're drowning in the ocean of mercy.
所以为什么他们就会被淹没在仁慈的密露之中？
So the Bhattacharya, he was a logician before Lord Chaitanya made him a devotee.
那么Bhattacharya 他在被 Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 转换成奉献者之前呢，他是一个逻辑学家。
But logic is like a dry oil cake from which all the oil has been taken out.
那么这个逻辑学它其实就像是一块被榨干了的饼一样，就是所有的这个油都被抽掉了。
So the Bhattacharya, he passed his life eating all this dry cake.
所以呢 ，Bhattacharya 他一直把他这一生都用在去吃这些被抽干了油的饼上。
But now Lord Chaitanya has made him drink the nectar of transcendental pastimes.
但是现在呢，Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 就让他喝到了超然的蜜露，超然逍遥的蜜露。
So Lord Chaitanya was smiling, very happy, and then he called for Advaita Acharya, and he told Advaita Acharya, "You should become like Seshanag, and I will lay on you. You can be my bed."
OK，那么Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 呢就非常开心的笑着。然后等了一会儿以后呢，他就换来了 Advaita Acharya。他说呢，你可以让你自己成为一个Seshanat， 那我呢可以把你当成床一样睡在上面。
So Advaita Acharya lay down on the water, floating on the water, and Lord Chaitanya got on top of him.
所以呢，Advaita Acharya 他就躺在了水里，然后Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu呢就睡在了他躺在水里的身上。
So Advaita Acharya was floating and Lord Chaitanya was sitting on top of him.
所以呢 Advaita Acharya 呢他就浮在水上，而 Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 呢就落在他的身上。
Just like Lord Vishnu is sitting on Seshanaga.
就好像主 Vishnu 坐在 Sheshanaga 上一样。
And so after playing like this for some time, then Lord Chaitanya went back to his place. Went back to where he was staying.
就是像这样玩了一段时间之后呢，所以 Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 就回到了他自己的住处。
And they took prasadam together.
他们一起荣耀 prasadam。
And whatever extra prasadam was taken by the devotees of Lord Chaitanya.
OK， 然后呢？这个奉献者呢，如果还剩下一些这个多余的这些 prasadam 呢，奉献者就荣耀了Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 荣耀过的 prasadam。
And then in the afternoon, Lord Chaitanya went to Gundicha temple to see the Lord and to chant and dance.
然后在下午的时候呢，Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 就又会去到 Gundicha 庙去见主，并且呢去唱诵、去跳舞。
So every day this would be like Lord Chaitanya's program.
所以这就是主 Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 的每天的安排。
So he went, then Lord Chaitanya would go into the garden and they would have the pastimes of Vrindavan.
然后呢，Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 呢又会去到花园，他们就会一起上演在文达文的逍遥。
And you should understand, Lord Chaitanya going into the garden to do pastimes of Vrindavan, it's not that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is going to imitate Lord Krishna.
但是我们要理解啊，就是 Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 到花园里面去上演 Sri Krishna 在文达文的逍遥，并不意味着他是在模仿 Krishna。
Lord Chaitanya was never in the mood of Krishna, he was always in the mood of Radharani.
因为 Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 他从来就没有处在 Sri Krishna 的心态之中，他是在 Sri Radharani 的心态里。
And he always had the mood of enjoying the company of Krishna.
而且呢，他总是处在这种和 Sri Krishna 汇合的这种心态里。
So we shouldn't think Lord Chaitanya is like Jagannath. He's not like Krishna. He's not like Jagannath. But he's a servant.
所以说呢，就是我们在想着 Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 的时候呢，不要把它想成 Sri Krishna 或者主 Jagannath， 他是仆人的心态。
Lord Chaitanya never associated with women or with the wives of other men.
那么 Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 呢，也从来都不会和女子交往，也不会和其他的男性奉献者的妻子交往。
So there were many beautiful trees and creepers in the garden, and they were all happy to see Lord Chaitanya.
在花园里面呢，有很多非常美的蔓藤，有很多美的树木，他们见到 Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 都非常的开心。
So the birds were chirping, and the bees were buzzing, and there was a beautiful cool breeze.
鸟儿在啾啾鸣叫，蜜蜂也在嗡嗡的鸣叫着，而且呢，还有非常清凉的微风。
And the one devotee named Vasudev Datta, he began to sing, and he would sing different songs under each tree, and Lord Chaitanya would dance in ecstasy.
一位叫 Vasudev Datta 的奉献者呢，他就开始在所有的这些树下唱歌，然后呢，Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 呢也会伴随着歌声翩翩起舞。
Then Lord Chaitanya told Vakrishvara Pandit to dance.
然后呢，主 Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 又让 Vakrishvara Pandit 跳舞。
And at that time, Lord Chaitanya sang himself.
然后在这会儿呢，Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 自己本人会合唱。
And there were other devotees to lead the kirtan, and they would have wonderful kirtan. Everyone would feel so much love for Krishna.
那还有其他的奉献者们也开始领唱 kirtan， 所有人呢都在 kirtan 中加入进来，所有人都感受着对 Krishna 的爱。
No, all the devotees lost all consciousness of time because the kirtan was so sweet and nobody thought about time.
因为这个 kirtan 实在是太甜美了，以至于所有的奉献者们都把时间给忘了。
Then the devotees went to another lake called the Narendra Sarovar, and they began to enjoy there.
然后呢，他们又来到了另外一座湖，被称为叫 Narendra Sarovar 的湖。然后呢，他们又开始在这个湖边开始尽情的享受。
So during this time, Lord Chaitanya stayed and performed the pastimes with his devotees every day, like this.
那么就在这段时间里面的每一天，Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 都像这样的和他的奉献者们演绎着甜美的逍遥。
So there was a special festival called the Hera Panchami Festival, which had to take place.
那么当时呢，有一个很特别的节日，被称为叫 Hera Panchami 节，就要上演了。
So the king was organizing the festival very carefully. He said, tomorrow is going to be the Hera Panchami festival, and we want to make it very wonderful.
那国王呢，就在非常认真的准备这个节日。他就说呢，明天呢就是这个 Hera Panchami 的这个节日了。那我们呢，想要非常好的呈现这个节日。
Right, Panchami means 5 days. So this festival takes place 5 days after the Rath Yatra.
Panchami 的意思呢，就是5天，也就是说呢，这个5天的节日是在弹车节之后发生的。
Lord Jagannath had left his wife, who's the goddess of fortune, and gone to Vrindavan.
主Jagannath离开了他的妻子，也就是幸运女神，然后去到了文达文。
Vrindavan is actually the Gundicha temple.
那这个文达文其实就是拱地禅庙。
But the goddess of fortune becomes disturbed. She feels separation from her husband, and she comes to look for him.
但是呢，这个幸运女神呢，她这会儿心乱如麻，因为呢，她非常的思念她的丈夫，所以呢，她就开始出来找她的丈夫。
So that when the goddess of fortune comes to the Gundicha temple, this is called the Hera Panchami festival.
所以说呢，当幸运女神来到拱地禅庙找她的丈夫的时候，这就被称为叫 Hera Panchami 节。
The word Hera means to see.
Hera 的意思呢是去看。
Yeah, the goddess of fortune is going to see Lord Jagannath.
也就是说呢，幸运女神将要见到主 Jagannath。
And Panchami means the 5th day.
Panchami 的意思呢就是5天。
Right? 5th day after the Rath Yatra took place.
Sorry, the 5th day, right?
Yeah, the 5th day.
对不起，我刚才翻的有点不对，就是这个 Panchami 的意思呢是说是第5天，也就是说呢是在弹车节过后的第5天所进行的节日。
Right. So the king said, we want to make this festival very gorgeous. We want Lord Caitanya to be very pleased.
那所以国王就说呢，我们要非常盛大的呈现这个节日，我们要让Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu非常的开心过节。
So we should have nice paraphernalia. We need many bells and cloths and chamaras.
所以呢，我们要准备很多的物品，我们要准备很多的铃铛，很多的这个布料，还有很多的拂尘。
And have many flags and ringing bells.
而且呢，我们要准备很多的这个彩旗，还有摇动的铃铛。
And have a lot of musical parties and dancing parties.
而且呢，我们要这个组织好很多的乐队和舞蹈的队伍。
Like, because they're going to carry the goddess of fortune on her palanquin, and that will be her carrier, and around her, along with her, there should be all these musical parties and dancing parties.
然后呢，我们因为要用轿子抬着幸运女神，然后呢，在这个轿子的周围呢，就要安排很多的乐队，很多的舞蹈队伍。
And then the king said, you should double the quantity of prasadam.
然后国王就说呢，我们要准备双倍的 prasadam。
It should be even more than what we had at Rath Yatra.
就是这个 prasadam 呢，要比我们在弹车节的时候准备的 prasadam 还要多。
And you should make the arrangements so that Lord Caitanya can easily go to see the deities.
而且呢，我们应该做出一番安排，使得主Caitanya Mahaprabhu呢很容易就能够见到神像。
So the next morning, Lord Caitanya, along with his devotees, they all went to see Lord Jagannath.
所以第2天清晨呢，是Caitanya Mahaprabhu和他所有的奉献者们都一起去见主 Jagannath。
When Lord Jagannath is in Gundicha, that place is called Sundarachala.
那么当是Caitanya Mahaprabhu在拱地禅庙当这个 Jagannath 在拱地禅庙的时候，这个地方被称为叫 Sundarachala。
Yes, but when Lord Jagannath is at Jagannath Puri, that place is called Nilachala.
但是呢，当主Jagannath在Jagannath Puri 的时候，这个地方被称为叫 Nilachala。
Right, Nilachala. Nila means blue color.
Nila means what?
Blue.
Blue. OK， 这个 Nila 的意思呢是蓝色。
And Sundar means very attractive, very beautiful.
Sundar 的意思呢是非常有吸引力，非常美丽。
So we often hear Nilachala Chandra Jaya Jaya Jagannath, Nilachala Chandra Jaya Jaya Jagannath. Nilachala. Nilachala. That's it.
我们经常会听到 Nilachala Chandra Jaya Jagannath。Nilachala。
So Gundicha is Sundarachala.
那所以贡地cha呢是 Sundarachala。
So Lord Caitanya and all of his devotees, they went to Nilachala to see this festival.
They go to the Nilachala. They go to the Nilachala to see the festival.
Yeah, because they're going, because the festival begins at Nilachala. The goddess of fortune, she's still in Jagannath Puri, and she's going to come to Kundicha.
OK。所以呢，就是现在主Chaitanya Mahaprabhu和这个奉献者们现在就去到去到了这个 Nilachala， 就是因为这个幸运女神现在依然还在加宾的 Puri 呢，她要启程前往Kundicha了。
Lord Jagannath had gone to Vrindavan and he hadn't come home.
对，因为主Jagannath去了文达文，还没回家呢。
And so his wife is becoming anxious. Where's my husband?
所以说呢，他的妻子就开始变得焦虑起来，我的丈夫去了哪里？
So she's going to come and see him.
所以呢，她就得自己亲自来看她的丈夫。
Do we have any questions there?
Yes, I do see one question here.
Maybe we should take questions.
OK， 我们先来看问题哈。这第一个问题呢是萨提玛吉问的。Hare Krishna， 感恩 Guru Maharaj 甜美的讲课。当我们在节日上供奉 Rasagula 后派发给奉献者时，大多数都觉得太甜了，无法品味，不太能接受。请问 Gurudev， 这是我们没有灵性品味，还是物质口味的问题？Maharaj, thank you very much for your very sweet lecture. In our festival, when we offer rasagula and after that distribute the rasagula to the devotees, most of the devotees think the rasagula is too sweet, it's hard for them to accept. So my question is that, is this because we haven't really developed that spiritual taste yet, or is because of our material condition?
Yes, it's your material condition.
这是因为我们的物质口味的问题。
Because usually you don't eat many sweets in your regular cooking.
就是因为呢，就是在咱们每天吃饭的这个口味里面，我们是不太习惯吃太多的甜品的。
But in the Bengali culture, it's customary that if ever a guest comes to your home, when the guests come, they'll give you a plate of sweets.
但是呢，在孟加拉的这个文化就是，当有客人来到这个家里的时候，首先就要给客人献上一盘甜品。
Or you go to meet someone, sometimes like in Calcutta, we go to meet different people in their offices, and we go to their office and the man will offer you, take some sweet and give you a plate with a couple of rasgulas on it.
那就比如说我们在加尔各答，在印度的时候去拜访人家，或者是到别人家的到别人的办公室里面去的时候，他招待你的首先就是给你一盘甜品，然后这甜品里面就有 rasagula。
So it's just culture that Bengali people, they have that habit to eat sweets, that's something they like to give to people when the people come to their home. It's a traditional Bengali sweet.
那所以说呢，这是文化的问题。这个孟加拉人呢，他们其实是很喜欢吃甜品的，而且呢，就是当有客人来的时候呢，他们就愿意把这孟加拉的甜品来招待客人。
Just like you have your dim sum or your moon cake,
那就好像就我们有我们的点心，有我们的月饼一样。But Maharaj, because earlier you said that Srila Prabhupada said that it's better to prepare the Bengal style of sweets because that will be more pleased to Lord Krishna. However, if we offer, like mooncake and dumpling, Chinese sweets to the Lord, do you think the Lord will be pleased?
Well,
please allow me. Sorry. Please allow me to translate. 就我不好意思啊，我就接着萨提玛姐这个问题问了一句，因为咕噜马尔吉刚才就讲到呢，就是我们最好是准备孟加拉的这种甜品，这样呢更取悦Sri Krishna。 我说，但是呢，如果要是我们为 Krishna 献上了，比如说像是汤圆啊，或者是像是月饼这样的甜品的话，那 Krishna 能不能被取悦呢？
Well, as far as what you offer to the deities, you know, if you're offering to the deities, you definitely would like to offer the things which are most pleasing to Lord Krishna. And, you know, traditionally, Prabhupada taught us to make things like what I said, you know, like sandesh and rasgulla and these things, you know.
是这样的，就是如果是从崇拜，就是供奉神像的这个角度来考虑的话呢，毫无疑问，我们是希望向神像，也就是向 Krishna 献上他最喜欢的东西。那就比如说Srila Prabhupada教给我们所做的这些东西，像刚才 Maharaj 所提到的，像 Rasgulla 呀，还有像 Sandesh 这样的甜品。
We have to understand when we talk about offering to the deity is Krishna himself. And he's coming to be there in our home or in the temple and to accept our worship.
那我们要明白，就是当我们在崇拜神像的时候，其实神像就是 Sri Krishna 本人。那他呢是来到我们家里面或者来到庙里面，来接受我们对他的崇拜的。
So we have to think what he likes, not what we like.
所以呢，我们就必须要想着神像到底喜欢什么，而不要去想着我们喜欢什么。
We're thinking what we like.
Yes. 所以因为我们其实还是把自己放在了中间，我们在想我们到底喜欢什么。
So we have to think more what Krishna likes.
对，所以我们要更多的去想 Krishna 到底喜欢什么。Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you, Maharaj. 下一个问题 ，The next question from Shruti Rupama 顶拜咕噜和老师们，请问咕噜，如果从户外大自然中摘野花回家，是不是有业报的偷盗行为呢？还有就是，如果从城市所居住的小区里偷花，这样能被允许吗 ？Maharaj, please accept the merit of obeisances due and to all the devotees. My question is that if we pick the flowers in the wild area, then bring back home to offer to the deity, is this have any karmic reaction? And the other thing is that if we pick up the flowers from our community area, is that will that consider as a behavior of stolen, or is this a kind of allowed activity? Thank you.
Well, you have to be careful.
你必须得小心。
You know, you go to a wild area, hillside, you pick flowers. No, I don't think that's a problem. I think that's good. You can bring them back and give them to Krishna. There's no karma, certainly. It's an act of devotion.
那如果你要是去到大自然的这个野地里面，然后呢，在那儿把野花给摘回家，然后把它给献给Sri Krishna 的话，这是很好的一个行为，这是没有业报的这个产生的，而且呢，这是一个挺好的一个服务的行为。
But if we go in the public place in the government land where the government have planted flowers and we take the flowers, then if you get caught, then it's not good.
但是如果我们要是就比如到了这个社区里边，或者就是政府城市规划的这个地区，它里面长满了花，然后我们要是把这花摘下来，然后呢还被抓住了的话，这不太好。
Yeah, you may be punished. You have to pay money to them.
因为呢，我们可能还会受罚，而且还得交罚款。
So you have to be careful.
所以呢，必须得小心。
We don't want to get a bad name also that, oh, you're stealing, these Hare Krishna people are stealing all the flowers.
而且呢，我们也不想有这么一个坏名声，就是这些信 Hare Krishna 的人，他们到处偷花。
The devotees in Australia did this one time.
在澳大利亚的奉献者有一次就干了这件事儿。
They were having a Rathi Yatra. So they went to, there was one place where some man, he had a big piece of land and he had greenhouses and he was growing many flowers in his greenhouse.
那当时呢，他们就有一个弹车节，然后呢，有这么一个人，他 有一大块花园，然后他在这个花园里面呢还有这个温房，然后在温房里面呢就种了好多的鲜花。
So what happened was the devotees went to this man's greenhouse in the night and they took all the flowers, they cut all the flowers.
然后发生的事情呢，就是奉献者晚上的时候呢，就偷偷的溜进了这个人的这个温房里面，然后呢，就把所有的花都给偷走了，都给剪下来了。
And so they decorated the chariots with all these flowers which they'd taken from the man's greenhouse.
然后呢，他们就把从这个人的这个暖房里面所偷来的这个花儿来装饰着他们的坛车。
But when they were having the Rath-yatra festival, the Rath-yatra festival was going through the streets, and the man who had the greenhouse, he saw all of these flowers, and he saw that these are all the flowers which I had.
然后呢，就是当这个车子从街上穿行而过的时候呢，就被有着温房，就是有着暖房的这个人就看见了，然后他就看见在车上的上面所有的这些花都是他的花。
So he was really upset that, oh, but these are my flowers, these people have stolen my flowers.
当时他就气死了，他说这些都是我的花，这些人把我的花给偷走了。
Of course, he couldn't prove it.
那他也没有办法去证实。
But what happened a few days later, the devotees were trying, some devotee was thinking he wanted to build a greenhouse and start growing flowers for themselves. And
但是呢，
go ahead.
但是过了几天之后呢，奉献者就在想，他们也应该自己搭一个暖房，然后呢自己来种花。
And so the devotee was going around and he saw this greenhouse and he thought, oh, let's go and ask this man about greenhouses.
那然后这位奉献者呢 ，so this devotee actually is different devotee who's
Yeah,
not
it's a
involved
different devotee, yeah.
Okay. 这位奉献者呢，就是没有参与当时偷花的一位奉献者啊，然后就看见了，就这个人他的这个暖房之后呢，他就在想，要不然我进去问问他这个暖房到底都是怎么建起来的呢
？So he stopped his car and he got out and he was dressed as a devotee and he said, "Excuse me, sir, we're interested in greenhouses."
然后呢，他就把他车停下来，然后因为他穿的是奉献者的装束，他就对这个人说，他说。老驾，请问您，我们现在呢很感兴趣，想要建一个暖房。
The man looked at him and said, "You please get off my land."
然后呢，这男的就特别的生气的对他说：“你赶紧从我的这个地上走开。”
He didn't want to see devotees. He knew the devotees had stolen all his flowers.
因为呢，他知道奉献者把他所有的花都给偷了，所以说呢，他根本就不想跟奉献者有任何的交道。
So, if you can take the flowers without getting caught, then it's you could say it's okay. But if you get caught, then it's very bad.
所以呢是这样的啊，就是如果要是你能设法在没有被抓的情况下，要是能够弄点这花的话呢，还是应该可以的。但如果要是被抓住了的话，那可就太难看了。
Srila Prabhupada used to use always eucalyptus twigs to clean his teeth.
那么这个 Srila Prabhupada 呢，他经常会用 I know the word, but eucalyptus 就是一种特别的这种植物，然后呢，他用这个植物的这个汁来清理他的牙齿。
Right, so there was a tree of this wood. Prabhupada told the devotee, "Get a twig from that tree."
然后呢，就有这么一棵这个树，我忘了这个树的中文名字叫什么。就是这个树呢，然后沙帕帕就对奉献者说：“你去把这个树上的这个枝摘下来给我。”
So devotee somehow got up the tree, broke a branch off, and came down. And that time a policeman came.
然后呢，这个奉献者呢，就爬上那棵树，然后呢就是撅了一根树枝。这会儿呢，警察来了。
And the policeman said to him, this is government property. You're breaking the property of the government by breaking that tree.
然后呢，警察就对他说，这是政府的财产。那你如果要是把这个枝给摘下来的话，也就是说你破坏了政府的财产，破坏了公物。
after the policeman went away, Prabhupada said, he said, their government, the British government, they went to India and they took all the gold and all the jewels and brought them all back to London.
然后呢，等这个警察走了以后呢，舍爸爸就说，这个英国的政府他们去到了印度，然后掠夺了在印度的所有的这些金银、这些这个财宝，然后呢，把这些贵重的物品全部都带回到了英国。
Yeah, there's a crown, which is the crown of the Queen of England, and it has all the best jewels, and they actually were all taken from India.
就是英国的国王所戴的皇冠，这皇冠上镶嵌着很多的珠宝，所有的这些珠宝都是他们从印度掠夺回来的。
So Prabhupada said, we took one little twig, and they're getting so upset.
然后舍爸爸说，我们只不过是摘了一根小树枝，他们就这么生气。
They're the big thieves.
他们其实才是最大的贼。
Everything belongs to Krishna. All the flowers, they're meant to be offered to Krishna, but not everyone has that understanding.
那么所有的一切呢，都是属于 Krishna 的，所有的一切呢，都应该献给 Krishna， 但是并不是所有人都有这样的理解。
So we have to be careful.
那所以呢，我们必须要非常的小心。
Okay.
The next question from Beijing Center 徐小渊的问题 ：Hare Krishna 顶拜 Guru 的莲花族，感恩翻译的翻译，谢谢您。刚刚 Guru 讲到了主 Caitanya 给大家派给 Prasadam 时，大家吃到了嗓子眼儿。我最近也每天每顿都吃到嗓子眼儿。这里的 Prasadam 特别的丰富美味，控制食欲太难了，而且奉献者们都热情地说，新奉献者要多吃。当发觉自己体重飙升时，就想到了国家梵歌说吃的太多或太少，睡得太多或太少都不利于修行，我就迷惑了。请问 Guru 给予食量和睡眠时间的指导。感恩亲爱的 Guru Day。This question, you got it?
Well, most of it, not all of it.
Okay, this question is from Xi Xiaoyuan, and she thanks your. She paid her humble obeisance to your lotus feet, and he said that Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu distributed the prasadam to everyone, and everyone has full prasadam reached to their throat. And then actually recently I'm living in the temple, so I also have lots of prasadam every day, full prasadam every meal, because the prasadam here is so tasty. So I found it's very hard to control my desire for food. And also the devotees here are so enthusiastically said that the new devotees should eat more. But I find that I'm even gaining weight. So I remember that from Bhagavad Gita, it is said that if you eat too much or eat too little, or sleep too much, sleep too little, neither of them is favorite to the spiritual practice. So I am a little bit bewildered about this. So could you kindly guide me what is the right amount of food to eat, and also what is the right amount of sleeping to get? Thank you very much.
Yes, well, the Vedic system is you should take water before the meal, not after the meal.
这个伟达的体系告诉我们，我们在吃饭之前要先喝水，而不是在吃完饭之后喝水。
The water before the meal is like nectar.
这个在饭前的这个水呢，就好像是甘露一样。
Water during the meal is like medicine.
但是呢，在吃饭中间喝的水呢，就像是药。
And water after the meal is like poison.
而在饭后所喝的水呢，就像是毒药。
And another thing is, when you take food, you should take 1/3 food, 1/3 water, and leave 1/3 for air in your belly.
OK， 然后呢，就是当你在吃饭的时候呢，在你的这个胃里面呢，你要用1/3是用食物放到你的胃里面，然后呢1/3的胃里是水，然后另外1/3呢是空气。
And you know also from China that we say, in the morning eat good breakfast, at lunch eat full, and eat very less at night.
那么在中国呢，我们有这样一个说法，就是要吃一顿非常丰盛的早餐，然后呢，午餐的时候要吃饱，在晚餐的时候呢要吃少。
The best thing is you don't eat at night.
最好的做法呢，就是别吃晚饭。
Yeah, we had one Chinese doctor come. He came to treat Caitanya Swami Maharaj, and he was telling all of us, he said, I can cure any of your health problems if you don't eat after 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
当时呢，咱们中国有位大夫，他到了马尔府为扎帕特罗马尔治病。他当时就说呢，如果你们要是能够保证在下午2点钟以后不吃饭，那我就能够把你们所有的身体问题给治好。
And the Ayurveda also says that the power of digestion increases as the sun rises, and then it decreases as the sun sets.
然后呢，这个阿育韦达的理论呢也说，就是当这太阳升起的时候，我们的消化力就提升了。那么当这个太阳落山的时候呢，我们的消化力也就减弱了。
So don't eat too much at night and try to eat your main meal in the middle of the day.
那所以说呢，就是尽量在晚上就不要进食了，然后尽量是在一天中这个中午的时间呢吃你的这一顿午餐。
And you will do better if you don't sleep during the day. Try to just sleep in the night.
睡觉呢也是，就尽量在这一天的白天的时间呢就不要睡觉，然后在晚上的时候才睡。
And if you eat at night, then you won't sleep so well.
因为如果你要是晚上吃东西的话呢，就不会睡得太好。
And you'll wake up feeling uncomfortable in the morning.
而且呢，在清晨醒来的时候呢，也会觉得不舒服。
As far as how much to sleep, well, Prabhupada said it depends. Some people need, well, it's first of all eating. Some people need to eat more, some people will eat less.
然后关于吃的这个量呢，就是取决于个人，有些人可能吃的需要多一点，有些人呢就要吃的少一些。
So if you're putting on weight, that is not very good for you.
但如果要是你因为吃东西而这个飙升了体重的话，那也就意味着这对你不是太好。
So be careful about eating heavy food like rice and breads.
所以说呢，当你在吃一些就是比较重的这个食物的时候，比如说像吃米饭呐，还有像吃面包啊这类东西的时候，要小心。
One of the devotees, one of the devotee family I know, I was visiting them one time, and their daughter was at school, and the daughter came home, and she said the teacher told her mother that your daughter is eating too much rice. Don't give her so much rice to eat.
那我有一次在旅行的时候呢，住在一个奉献者的家里。那么在这家里面有一个小姑娘，这小姑娘她回家之后呢，她的这个老师对她的妈妈说，就是这个小姑娘吃米饭吃的太多了，一定要控制她的米饭的尽量，不要吃太多的米饭。
Because the teacher could see that the little girl was putting on weight.
因为老师他可以看到这小女孩就在长体重。
And usually when you put on weight, it's because you eat too much of the heavy food like rice and breads and wheat, you know.
那通常来说呢，就是这个长肉、长体重的原因呢，就是因为吃了太多这种过重的食物，比如说米、面，还有就是小麦类的食物。
Okay, and then sleeping, you want to be careful you should sleep somewhere between 6 hours to 7 hours is also okay, you know. Don't sleep, but don't sleep more than 8 hours.
关于睡觉的这个量呢，要睡到6个小时、7个小时也没问题，但是不要睡超过8个小时。
We try to regulate the eating and the sleeping.
然后呢，我们就尽量的要让我们的吃饭和我们的睡觉要有规律。
So, try to eat the same amounts at the same time, and then sleep also the same time.
而且呢，就是尽量的是在 同一个时候吃进食，以及在同一个时间去睡觉。
Okay.
You may keep the consistency.
Yeah, try to keep the regulation.
Yeah, 就是尽量让自己要做到有规律，要做到一致。
Okay.
Yeah. 下面是 Vrindavan Ishvari Mataji 顶拜咕噜，如果因为身体原因无法吃甜食，该怎样给 Krishna 做饭呢？Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. If because of the physical reason I cannot take the sweet food, so in this case, how to prepare the food for Lord Krishna?
Well,
because she further said that because if we prepare the sweets, it always put too much sugar and oil.
Well, you don't have to put so much sugar and oil.
首先呢，就是在做甜品的时候呢，不需要放太多糖和油。
You can put less sugar and oil.
所以呢，你在做饭的时候呢，你可以少放点糖，少放点油。
And remember, when you're cooking, you don't just cook for yourself. You can distribute to other people.
还有呢，就是你要记得，就是当您在做饭的时候呢，其实您并不是只给自己在做饭，您可以把您做好的这个食物派给其他的人。
Yes.
So next one.
Yeah.
Shruti Rupa's comments. Hare Krishna, 感恩 Guru， 今天我第一次从户外摘了野花回来供奉神像，谢谢 Guru 的鼓励。So first, then Gati Prada Madaji, Oh Prabhu, 顶拜 Guru 队和所有的奉献者。如果供奉 Krishna 喜欢的，而家里人并不爱吃，然后为了让家里人吃上 prasada， 迎合家人的口味供奉，这是奉爱服务吗？ Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. If I offer the food which is favorite to Lord Krishna, but is not a favorite to my family members, however, in order to have my family members to take prasadam, so I just try to cook something with a favorite of their taste. Is this considered as a devotional service?
Yes.
算奉爱服务。
Yeah, when I was saying that we cook for Krishna, that's particularly I'm talking about the deity and the temple.
就是刚才我说的，就是我们要做 Krishna 喜欢的这个食物。其实我特别讲的是，为在庙里的神像做供奉。
What you do in your own home, that's more flexible.
那当你在家里面在做事情的时候呢，要更有这个灵活性。
And you're cooking for yourself. You can't cook so many things. You can't make so many things.
而且呢，就如果要是只为自己做饭的话呢，肯定就不能做的样太多。
Yeah, we won't be cooking sweets all the time.
那我们也不可能一直都在做甜品。
But in temples, where you have a proper temple and you've established a deity, then there's standards for worship.
但是呢，如果我们要是有庙的话，而且有这个安放的神像的话，那么就会要确立一个崇拜的标准。
Just like here in Mayapur, they have special cooks who just make sweets for the deities every day.
那么就好像在玛雅普，那我们这儿呢就有专门的甜品师傅，天天为神像做甜品。
And they have, the good quantity of fresh milk. They get this fresh milk from the cows and they use that to make the milk sweets.
而且呢，他们还会专门从乳牛那儿打来这个很多的鲜牛奶，然后用这个鲜牛奶为神像做甜品。
And so we do this in the established temples, but you can't expect to do that in your home.
对，所以说呢，我们是在这个已经建起的庙里面去做这些事情，但是我们不能够巴望着在家里面也做同样的事情。Yes. The next one, from Taruni Tusi Mataji. 顶拜 Guru 做 prasada 和供奉时怀着怎样的知觉最恰当、最能取悦 Krishna 呢？ Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances while we are preparing prasada and while we are offer this food to the Lord. what kind of consciousness we should hold in that way to please Krishna the most.
Well, the consciousness should be that I'm the servant of Krishna, and I'm prepared the food for Krishna, I'm offering it to him, and we ask him, please kindly consider accepting this food.
那最好的这种知觉呢，就是我乘着我是 Sri Krishna 的仆人的这样的心态，然后呢，我是为他在做这个供奉，然后恳请他能够接受这个供奉。
The mood of being a humble servant, that's the main thing.
的最主要的事情呢，就是让自己处于一个谦卑的仆人的心境之下。Okay, Radhishan's question. She's asking if the spice is ave.
Ave.
Ave. How to say that in English?
That's hing, isn't it?
Hing. Yeah. Hing. Yes. She's asking if it's okay to offer the hing to the deity.
Yes.
可以供奉。
Yeah, we offer hing. Hing is a substitute for onion. We don't use onion, but if you use hing, that's a very good, that gives the flavor, which is something similar to onions.
因为这个阿味啊，它其实是大蒜的代替品。就是我们因为不用大蒜，但你要是在这个食物里面要放上阿味的话呢，它就能够给这个食物调很好的味道。然后下面这个问题哈，就是顶拜咕噜，请问艾卡达西日为何不能吃蜂蜜？在哪里有明确的关于艾卡达西日饮食列表？还有4月苦行在哪里经典里可以找到答案？ This Mataji, she's asking, she paid her humble obeisances to you, and she asked why in the day of Ekadasis we are not able to take the honey, and also from where we can specifically to find what to eat for the Ekadasi days, and also through which sastra we can find find how to observe the Chaturdasi.
Okay, so first of all, honey. I have never heard that you cannot take honey on Ekadasi.
Yes. 那首先呢，我从来没有听说过在艾卡达西不能吃蜂蜜。
The vegans, they don't take honey.
那些就是这个蛋奶素者，他们是就是完全彻底的素食者，他们是不吃蜂蜜的。
Vegan has become quite popular around the world. A lot of people have taken to the vegan diet.
因为这个蛋奶素者现在已经在世界上变得越来越这个普遍，那么很多人他们就是会以这样的素食习惯的。
So they don't take honey because it's coming from the bees, and they say it's the property of the bees. It's not for us.
那么他们之所以不吃蜂蜜的原因呢，是因为他们说这个蜂蜜是来自于蜜蜂的，所以说呢，这是蜜蜂的财产，我们不应该吃。
But honey was a great favorite of Lord Balaram.
但是呢，主 Balaram 可喜欢吃蜂蜜了。
And so I've never heard that on Ekadasi we couldn't take honey. I don't know where you got this from.
Yeah, 所以说呢，因为我从来没听说过艾卡达西不能够吃蜂蜜，所以我也不知道你是从哪听来的。
There are some spices which they don't encourage us to use on Ekadasi because sometimes they mix some kinds of grains in them.
那么就是有一些这个佐料，我们是不建议在艾卡达西的时候用的，因为这些佐料里面呢可能是混杂了一些谷物在里面。
It's very difficult to get things which are pure in this Kali Yuga.
但是呢，在卡利年代很难找到非常纯的东西了。
We got some semolina one time. You know semolina? Simi.
Simi, yes.
So we got some semolina, and it was coated in some grains, you know.
我们有一次呢，就弄到了一些西米。这西米本来艾卡达西是可以吃的，但是呢，西米它外面就被 就给包了一些谷物。
And similarly, often you buy milk powder and you want to use it on Ekadasi, and then you look on the packing, you see they've got some grains in the milk powder.
而且还有的时候呢，就比如说像奶粉，那本来奶粉我们是想给艾卡达西用的，但是你一看那个食物表里面，就发现它里面也是掺了一些谷物在里面。
So it's very difficult to know what you can take on Ekadasi.
所以说呢，就是你到底能够在艾卡达西时候就是能够吃什么，其实这也挺难做到的。
So be careful.
所以呢，一定要小心。
Now, Chaturmasya, where can we find out what to eat? The Prabhupada simply said Chaturmasya, the first month, no green leafy vegetables, or no sak, right? No sak.
No sak. No sak means green vegetable, right?
Botai.
菠菜 ，OK, spinach。那个就是说爸爸就关于艾卡达，就是4月苦行的这个不能吃什么？说爸爸就简单说，第1个月就不能吃绿叶菜，其实就不能吃菠菜。
The first month, bunang botai, and the second month don't take yogurt.
第2个月呢，不要喝酸奶。
And the third month, milk.
第3个月呢是牛奶。
And then the 4th month, we should not take the herb dal or high protein food.
然后呢，在第3个月的时候呢，就不能吃一些就是有着高蛋白含量的豆类。
That means things like, like soya.
就像黄豆啊 ，chickpea。
I don't know that. What's that?
chickpea 鹰嘴豆。搜我看到过。chickpea.
Chickpeas, yeah, chana. In India they say chana or chickpeas.
Chickpeas, yes.
Yes, chickpeas, very high protein. The idea is you shouldn't take any non-vegetarian food in the 4th month.
Sorry, non-vegetarian food.
Meat. In other words, you shouldn't take meat in the 4th month.
Oh, okay. So this is actually for non-devotees, right?
Well, yeah, for everybody, right? Yeah.
OK， 就我刚才有点晕了，因为刚才马尔说，就第4个月呢是不能够吃素食之外的食物，也就是说在第4个月的时候不能吃肉。就任何一个人在如果是要守这4月苦行，在第4个月的时候不要吃肉。
So we try to get people who are not devotees, try to get them to follow.
那所以说呢，就是让那些不是奉献者的人，如果让他们能够去守这4月苦行的话呢，看看能不能行。
But some of the dal, some types of dal are very high protein, and they shouldn't be taken.
而且有时候就是这个豆汤啊，就这个豆类，它是有很高的，就这个去皮绿豆，它有很高的蛋白质，所以呢是不能吃的。
Right. So in India, people they have to eat dal every meal, they have dal. With the lunch, it's very necessary to have dal.
Yeah. 但你知道在印度的时候呢，就是豆汤是他们必须喝的，每顿午餐是一定要喝豆汤的。
But in the month of Kartik, they should not take the high protein dal.
但是呢，就是在卡蒂克月的时候，就不要吃就是这个有着高蛋白质含量的豆汤。
And people in South India, they're very
In South India, sorry, I think it was a little broken.
In South India, people are accustomed to eat idli and dosa, which is made with urd dal.
OK， 然后呢，在这样的这个食物，那这个就是由urd dal，就是由这个高蛋白的这个豆类做成的，红豆做成的。
So it's a problem for them in the 4th month.
所以说这第4个月对于南印度的人来说就有点难。
But a little austerity is good for us.
但是如果我们要是去遵守一些苦行呢，是好的。
And we see sometimes some of the sannyas, some people who do things like during the 4 months of Chaturmasya, they won't shave, they won't cut their hair, they won't cut their nails.
然后呢，我们还会看到有些人，他们在4月苦行的时候呢，他们就不会剃头，他们也不会这个剃胡子，然后呢，也不会绞指甲。
And they will reduce their eating, maybe only take 1 meal a day.
然后呢，他们还会减少进食的量，也许可能就是1天就吃1顿饭。
And they will increase their chanting.
然后呢，他们会加多他们的念诵。
Chanting maybe 64 rounds every day.
每天可能都会念诵64圈。
So like that, they do like that to observe Chaturmasya.
他们就是这样来去遵守 Chaturmasya 4月苦行。
Okay.
Yeah, Maharaj, actually there were 2 more questions. May I ask to hold it for an afternoon section because right now it's almost 2 o'clock.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a good idea. Let's hope you can give them to who's in the afternoon. Is it
me?
You're coming again in the afternoon?
Yeah, I'm very fortunate today.
Oh, I'm very fortunate today. Okay. Thank you very much. So I'll see you in the afternoon.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Maharaj, please allow me to explain the situation to the devotees. Hare Krishna, 亲爱的奉献者们，因为我们后面还有一些问题，然后呢，因为现在都差不多也快2点了，我们就把这个问题呢，就先留到下午再请顾解答。
Okay. Hare Krishna. Xiao Jian, Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki.
Jai. So Hare Krishna.